Hello! This is my interactive concept presentation for Chemistry 1. So this week we did pasta rockets. So for this one, if you watched my last video, you remember I'm very afraid of fire. So I'm just going to walk through all the steps, how it is set up, but not actually light it up. So we'll talk about how it works, what the experiment is, and then also areas that it could possibly go wrong and how it's applicable to rockets, actually. So what you need is you need a mason jar first, and you want to have a hole drilled in the lid. And you're going to take a type of pasta. Ziti is what we have here. This one probably works best, better than like a bent one, so I would do ziti. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your mason jar, you're gonna fill it up part way, not all the way, not even quite halfway. You're gonna fill it with hydrogen peroxide. So you're gonna do that. Then what you're gonna do is, so you're not going to seal the lid on, you're just going to take the top part, not the metal screw. You're just going to keep it on really quickly after we do this part. So you're going to add some yeast in. You're going to add it, put the top on, pasta in there, and then you are going to light the pasta, and it's just going to burn. So what we're seeing there, a couple different things. So we're seeing the hydrogen peroxide and the yeast reacting. And what's happening is hydrogen peroxide is H2O2. And when it reacts with yeast, it releases pure oxygen, just O2. So the reason we don't seal the jar all the way, and the reason we have a little hole in it, not only for the pasta, it allows the pressure to kind of release out of it. Otherwise, you could potentially have a mini little explosion on your hands, and we don't want that. So be cautious of that. So whenever you do that, O2 is released from the H2O2, and it ventilates up through the pasta strand, where the fire is, and it fuels the fire, because as we know, oxygen fuels fire. So that's basically the chemical reaction that we're seeing. So as for how it is applicable, one of the biggest ways is that it shows a different type of fuel engine. So there's two different types of fuel engines. There is a solid fuel engine, which is what most rockets use. So that is where the fuel source is put in, and it's uncontrollable. It just is steady. The only time it ends is when it runs out of stuff. And that's what most rockets use. The other one, which is what we created here, is a hybrid. So a hybrid fuel engine, it relies on an oxidizer being fed into it. So you can see how that plays in when we are feeding the pasta tube in the fire. On top of that, we're feeding it oxygen. And it can be controlled. You can stop the rate, slow it down, speed it up, whatever you need to do. But that is the biggest difference between the two, and also how it's the most applicable. Other than this being a very, very cool experiment, it's not something that you'll use every day. So as for where things could have gone wrong with the experiment, like I said, if you seal it, it can explode because of the pressure buildup from the O2. Also, if you don't keep the lid on it, then the pure O2 is going to get away, and you're not going to have the same effect on the flame that you would as if you had a constant source going, just straight up that way. So those are two things to watch out for if you decide to try this at home. If you're a chicken like I am with fire, I don't blame you for not trying it, but there's a lot of really cool videos on it, and it's a really neat reaction showing kind of a mini version of something that could be used for an engine, which is really cool and really applicable to some people's careers, which is great. So thanks for bearing with me, letting me talk through the actual, experiment. And yeah, thanks.